to the We Love Wrestling spot. My name is Terry. I'm with Danielle from the Pretty Hills. Today, we are with, well, let me get it right. She used to be Flex rated, but now she is going to be known as Flex Kalifah. Let's give her a flex as she comes in. How you doing today, ma'am?
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. The first
Sure.
question I always ask everybody before we get into it is, what started your love for wrestling, or why do you love wrestling?
Well, my dad got me into wrestling as far as watching it as a kid. So I remember living in Germany. My dad's in the army, and watching it on Saturday mornings. And I'm aging myself in like the late 80s. And I didn't get back into it until like, I think after high school, around the Attitude Era. So like my senior year, that's when I really started watching it. And the one that really made me pay attention was the Nation of Domination, when they came out and started feuding with DX. That's when I started watching it again and realized, oh, this is really cool. And I started noticing all the factions. And then I started also noticing the women too. They had, Jacqueline was the one that really inspired me to really get started. Jacqueline, I think she had a feud with Sable. And I remember watching them and I was like, that's how I got to do it. I want to do that. If they can do that, if she can do that, she looks like me. I've never seen anybody, a Black woman in the ring like that, that is someone that, you know, is inspiring me and wanting me to do that. So that's when I realized I wanted to do it, but I didn't actually get into it until like a decade and a half later, because my parents were like, you're not going to be a pro wrestler, you're going to go to college. So I went to school for 4 years, and then I fell into fitness modeling and bodybuilding. And I noticed that a lot of the girls that were competing in shows that I was doing, they were getting signed to NXT, like Caitlyn and Alexa Bliss. And so I was like, well, I've been wanting to do that. So after I think it was my last show in 2013, I contacted WWA4 in Atlanta to find out more about their training, even though I was living like 4 hours away. And I sent them this whole like resume of, you know, I'm a bodybuilder and I want to be a wrestler, and here are the shows I've done as a bodybuilder. I sent them like a portfolio and professional pictures and everything. And so I got a call I got a call from Moose when Moose was still training there.
Moose.
And yeah. And he said, we're doing a show on Labor Day weekend. It was in 2013. They said, and we'd like to have you come in and work as a valet to see, you know, how you would like it. And so I did that, and I ended up valeting Baron Black and the Emperor. I don't know if y'all heard of him, but he's pretty big in Atlanta. And he was fighting AR Fox in that match. And this is way before AR Fox started training me. And that match just blew me away. I was like, I don't want to be out here. I want to be in there. So that's when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to train. And because I was so far away, I couldn't really come up back and forth to Atlanta because of my budget back then. So there was a place at the time in Statesboro, Georgia, which is about an hour from me, called APW. And I started training there. And that's when I started. I actually started out as a valet there too, while I was in training. And the rest is history. I ended up moving, I think in 2017 to Dallas, and I trained at DFW All Pro for 2 years. And then I decided to move back to Georgia. And before I got my full-time job, my shoot job, which I'm a medical coder, you know, by day and a wrestler by night, I was traveling back and forth to Atlanta to train with AR Fox once he took over WWA4. So that's where I primarily train now. And that's Flex rated story. Flex Kalifah hopefully will soon have her own story. So, you know, that's pretty much how I fell into wrestling, where I am now.
Love all of that. Gotta say, gotta touch on a few points.
Sure.
The shirt I had on today, shout out to the Nation of Domination.
Yes.
Had to shout that out. Had to do it. At WrestleBuds, if you want to buy one, people.
Okay.
Also, you said I'm an Army brat myself. So you said
nice.
you were in Germany for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you move around a lot as an Army brat?
Oh, yeah. We moved around every 6 months to every 2 years until I was, I think, in middle school. Once I hit like 7th, 8th grade, my dad was like, okay, I'm going to retire so you don't have to move, and I don't want you messing up your credits. So we moved to South Georgia, and that was his last duty station. So okay. I've been in Georgia since 93, I think is how long I've been here.
Okay. So you said you got back into wrestling Attitude Era about your high school.
Yeah, that's when I really started following it heavy.
So did you have any friends that you were growing up who were also into wrestling?
Yeah, it's funny because my husband, he actually was one of my friends. We were me, my sister, and my now husband and his brothers. When we were growing up, we all used to watch it at our house because my mom and my dad would get pay-per-view before, you could just stream it, when you had to pay like what, $49.99 or $39.99 to get it on Cablevision. We would have it at our house on Sundays and order pizza and just watch it at our house. So it was basically me, my sister, my now husband, who was like a childhood friend, and then all of his brothers.
Okay.
So we all come over. They would come over to our house and watch it anytime there was pay-per-view.
Okay. Now, the other point I want to make before I throw it to Danielle, you said you were trained, you training now by AR Fox. That's where you started, and you still are training there. It's a lot of talented people coming out of there. So we expect big things from you.
It's a
you
lot of
planning to go?
pressure.
So,
A lot of pressure.
have you wrestled anybody being there training at WW4A that it kind of lets you know, like, I'm making the right moves and doing the right decision in wrestling right now? Or anyone who's
I
helped you?
wrestled. Yeah, Fox himself. He was my first match, and it was actually my first win in like years because I was always, losing. But he was the first, I think my first match back in Georgia after I moved from Texas. And after that match, I realized, okay, there's so much more that I know I need to work on. But he let me know, he was like, you're ready. He was like, don't doubt yourself. You don't second guess yourself. You're ready to move up into, television whenever you're ready. But unfortunately, that match happened right before COVID. So a lot of the stuff that I was getting ready to get booked on and try out for kind of went, or it's in limbo. Yeah.
All right. Before Daniel, I got one more thing. Just thought of something.
Yeah, sure.
So
say that more time.
you also said you were bodybuilding. So I'm in the Midwest. So I usually go to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. Have you ever competed in that?
Yeah, the Arnold Classic. I never competed in that. I've never even been. I've always wanted to go just to work a booth, let alone compete. I've never been to the Arnold or the Olympia. I've primarily done the amateur league that's tied to the Olympia, the NPC. I've done their national shows, mostly on like the East Coast, like Team Universe in Jersey. There's another one that they do, I think, in Pittsburgh. I've done a couple times. But yeah, that's where I got my start in bodybuilding was with the NPC, because my goal was, before I finally decided to dive into wrestling, was to make it to the Olympia or to the Arnold. Okay. Yeah.
Danielle?
It's so funny because I definitely was going to go down that road. So thanks. I but I am going to kind of touch back on it. I know that you said that been at WW4A, and then you kind of did some other things and came back. I know you did say that you was able to valet for Moose. Is there anyone else that you've kind of ran into that you've watched their journey, but now they've kind of moved up? And I'm sure you've been there too. COVID has changed a lot for a lot of people that we've spotlighted. So is there anyone that you ran up against who may not necessarily have started with you, but you saw their journey and now you're like, oh, I remember when I wrestled you when you were at my level, like, is there anybody like that?
Yeah, well, my tag partner, Rache Chanel, we tagged in Texas together. Now she's doing AEW Dark, and I'm so proud of her, because I remember when we were still tagging together in Texas, and she would come stay with me because she lives in Houston, and so she would come up to Dallas, and we would just brainstorm what we wanted to do in the ring. But then we would start daydreaming and say, oh, wouldn't it be cool if one of us or both of us ended up at AEW or WWE? And to see her, on AEW Dark, it's like, it gives me chills. It makes me so happy to see something that, even though we worked on it together, to see it come to fruition for her. You know what I mean? And also Aja Pereira, I've never wrestled her, but we met at the promotion in Statesboro where I was valeting. It was her and the Woe, when she was known as Double the Rose. They came down, and I met them because they were doing the shows in Statesboro. Every now and then they would come drive down, and to see both of them where they are, how we all started together to where they are now, it's like, oh my God, that's just amazing to me to see people's progression and to make history. Like Aja, she's the first female Black referee. And that's something to, shout from the mountaintops and be very proud of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's also motivating, right? Because it's like, being a person of color and like knowing the history generally, you know, of
Mm-hmm.
you can feel a little discouraged at times at things, but when you see people, right, who look like you, whose journey and their narrative is similar to yours, it kind of restores your faith and
it
motivates
does.
you to keep going. So I mean, I love that. I love those type of stories and stuff. I love that stuff. So the question that like I always ask, as Terry was, I love to ask our spotlight people, like, I know that you said you're working on a gimmick transition right now, right?
Yes.
So what, you know, COVID aside, of course, what do you see as the future for Flex Kalifah?
Well, Flex Kalifah, just to give you and people out there, just a brief history for those that may or may not know my former character, Flex Rated. When I first started Flex Rated was pretty much, I don't want to really say, I guess I used to always joke around and say it's kind of like a creator wrestler. When I first started, I didn't know much about how to create a character and ring psychology. So I was like, well, I have muscles and I'm cute, so I'm just going to call myself Flex Rated. It's a play on words, you know, and it kind of stuck and it worked, but I didn't really there wasn't much to Flex Rated starting out the first couple years. And so I actually took some time off between, I think it was 2014 or 15 to 2017. And because of health reasons. And then when I moved to Texas, I started training again, and people started seeing my my Instagram and my Facebook and my Twitter, and that I already had a bodybuilding following. So everybody in the training facility started calling me Flex. And I was like, I was really thinking about just doing away with Flex Rated altogether then. But then I was like, well, I'm going to keep it, but I'm not, you know, I don't bodybuild anymore, and I'm not as slim and trim and ripped like I used to be. And I was having a conversation with another wrestler, and I was telling him this, and he was like, well, you really don't have to make Flex Rated be like a muscle. Like, you don't have to relate it to the muscle as much anymore. You could flex for the gram, or like, you know, do it in that sort of way. And I was like, yeah. So I kind of shifted from flexing my muscle to flexing like this fancy lifestyle. And that's how I came up with the whole bougie gimmick. And now, even though I love the bougie gimmick, I feel like it's kind of ran its course for me. So since COVID happened and all the stuff that's been going on, you know, on the news, and, you know, just trying to make people aware of Black lives and the things that are happening to us, I feel like I've kind of, in my own way, personally and character-wise, have had like an awakening. So I'm more Flex Kalifah isn't just about the muscle and not about material things. It's all about getting in the ring and flexing my my opponent's mind, getting inside their head. So it's kind of like, it's been a little cathartic for me to create this new character. It's been just almost like a spiritual journey in a way. So I'm really excited to debut Flex Kalifah, because it's more than just going out there and just flexing my muscles now. It's more than, like I said, flexing my money and flexing the bougie lifestyle. It's much more spiritual and much more psychological now.
I love it. I'm like thirsty to see what that's gonna look like.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Sure.
Yes.
Terry, I'm kicking it back to you.
We gotta talk about it. So Flex Kalifah, you said it's more about flexing on the gram and on your opponents about what you're doing?
Well, yeah, it's more like when instead of doing like Flex Rated was all about just flexing my muscle in the beginning. There wasn't much to her before, and then she evolved into being more of like a flashy, I'm rich, powerful, I've got money and all this stuff. And now it's bigger than that. It's much more, how do I say, I guess cerebral, more psychological. Like, it's kind of hard to explain because it's still in the works, but Flex Kalifah is much more about, I guess, self-love and being aware of yourself, not just in the ring, but just as a character, just being much more conscious, like socially conscious, socially aware of certain things. Yeah. So it's not, I'm kind of trying to do away with the material things and become much more of a more just conscious about myself and who I am.
I give you one free one.
All right.
That's what I say to people. That's what I'm start saying, Danielle. I'm gonna give you one free one. Flex Kalifah. So if you're changing, you know, more about finding yourself and everything, it's kind of like you're a queen, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Instead of doing everything, so you know, some type of way you could probably incorporate that, you know, just showing
Mm-hmm.
self-love for yourself as a queen would walk and everything. And you also letting people know to be more self-aware about themselves.
Yeah.
So I like where you're going with it. I want to see the
Thank
ending
you.
of it.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned the whole queen thing, because I have been getting, I don't want to reveal too much, but at the same time, I don't want to hold too much back, you know, because you guys are wanting to know like who Flex Kalifah is. But when I was developing Flex Kalifah, the inspiration really was Oshun, the African goddess of love and fertility. And so when you said that, I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right on the money.
I'll be knowing. That's something I said. I'll be knowing. Nah.
Yeah, exactly.
So with the pandemic and all this happening, you said you had a lot of things scheduled before you was gone. They said you was ready for TV. So we coming out of it a little bit, I would say. And you seeing more wrestling shows start up. Do you have any shows or any bookings that you're doing?
I do have some in the works. The dotted line hasn't been signed yet, but I am planning on something with Kickstart My Heart Wrestling in I think they're in Minnesota, I believe, in October, and hopefully in 2022, like in January, whenever they have another one. So right now, that's the only one that I have planned right now. Other than that, I'm just pretty much just trying to keep my name out there. I got to get back up on my content. I used to create a lot of content. I know Aja used to tell me all that. She's like, your content's really good. And I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I really need to start doing more videos again, just to, you know, put myself out there. But right now, that's all I have planned at the moment. Hopefully somebody will call me. Maybe, you know, AEW Dark, I'm here. Just saying.
AEW Dark.
Just saying. Just putting that out there.
I mean, it'll be a good time. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. So we're recording this early, but I'm dropping this in October because she has a show, and also I have some special planned for October. And the whole surroundings of Flex Kalifah. Is Flex Kalifah gonna debut in October?
Yes. Flex Kalifah is going to debut in October.
This is she fits right into what I have planned for October, and you guys are gonna love. Well, you're watching this in October, so October is Ladies Month, and you know Flex Kalifah's gonna be a queen. We gonna go ahead and put Flex Kalifah. She's on the schedule. We had to do it. Sean was her inspiration. Come on.
Yes.
I don't even want to. We're gonna stay in the wrestling realm. Okay.
I know, right?
So before we go, because that's the spotlight, you know, Flex Kalifah. This was Flex rated A. Let's say, yeah, we're gonna say A. If you rate A, that's a new rating for you. But can you give the people your social media where they can follow you, see you flex on the ground, or flex on Facebook or anywhere?
Yes. On Twitter, I'm Flex Kalifah. On Instagram, same thing, Flex Kalifah. Kalifah spelled Kalifah with the H at the end. And then I'm still Flex rated on Facebook, on my actual Facebook page. I'm working on getting that changed today, actually. So if you don't add me on Facebook by today, by tomorrow, it should be Flex Kalifah.
So when you see this, it'll be Flex Kalifah. I'm just doing my follows right now on Instagram and Twitter. Flex Kalifah already follows me on Twitter.
Yes, I do.
I feel ashamed. I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
No.
But we got it there. Danielle, before we kick it out, do you have last thing you want to say? You know, wish your well wishes.
No, I definitely, absolutely would love to wish you well wishes. I will tell you that we will be, you know, following your journey. Please document everything. That little thing that we spoke about before.
Oh, like, yes, absolutely.
That was my one free one, but, but keep us up to date with, you know, what's going on. I love these type of stories, just because I'm really one of those people who like live through people who look like me.
Me too.
You know, with your background and like loving wrestling from young and like being surrounded by other people who love wrestling and embraced you. So I definitely wish you the best. And this won't be our last conversation. We're gonna
absolutely not. Yeah, I want to be back
after a few matches to say, hey, you know, you maybe, you know, just come in full character at that point. And you know, for sure.
Let's go ahead and schedule that in October after the whole character debuts. We set this up and then we talk to Flex Kalifah, and then y'all can see that down the road too.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's see.
And then she can flex in and challenge her new whoever she may be, you know, coming for, whoever's belt she may be trying to.
Yes, give them an awakening. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yes.
Somebody gonna get it.
They got it.
If y'all ain't see it, go to Flex Kalifah on Instagram. You can see her flexing. You can see the bodybuilding photos. You can see everything. You can see her new character that's debuting at the time that you're seeing this. But again, Flex Kalifah, I want to thank you for coming on and talking with us here today.
Yes, thank you.
So as I always end it, I'm Terry. I'm with Danielle from the Pretty Heels. We were joined by Flex Kalifah. And as I always say, if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. It's too sweet for the coaching. Yes.